Day 3. I opened the cabinet under the sink and stared at a dish soap bottle that was almost empty. I had bought it 2 weeks before the storm and considered it full. I had not been tracking how many times I was washing dishes every day because I had never needed to. Before that storm, some of those meals were at restaurants. Some were takeout. Lunch was usually at work. My husband ate at his desk. The kitchen absorbed maybe 1 real cooking session per day, sometimes 2. During the storm, we were cooking 3 full meals from scratch every single day, plus snacks, plus baking, plus the constant hot drinks that become the structure of a day when nothing else provides it. The dish soap was gone by day 3. The paper towels were gone by day 4. The butter ran out by the end of day 3, and I did not understand how until I counted what I had actually made. This is the list nobody warned me about. Not the items I could not find. Not the items I had forgotten to stock. The items I had and considered covered. Gone before I understood what was happening to them, because I had never once modeled what actual consumption looked like when every meal, every dish, every cup of coffee came from inside these 4 walls with no outside assistance. 10 items. All of them ordinary. All of them invisible until they were gone. Let us count down. The gap is not in stocking these items. It is in understanding the multiplier. When your household shifts from partial home cooking to total home cooking, the consumption rate of every household consumable changes. Some change by 2 times. Several change by 4 or 5 times. The reserve quantity that felt like plenty under the old rate becomes a 3-day supply under the new one. That is what this list is about. Number 10. Trash bags. This is the item that surprises people the most when I mention it, so I want to explain the math before anything else. Under normal weekday conditions, my household generates roughly 1 full trash bag every 4 to 5 days. We eat some meals out, bring home food in packaging that is already consolidated, and the kitchen waste from partial home cooking is manageable. During those 21 days, we were generating a full trash bag every day and a half. Sometimes every day. The reason is straightforward once you see it. Cooking 3 full meals from scratch produces significantly more waste than buying prepared food or eating out. Vegetable trimmings, eggshells, coffee grounds, food packaging from every ingredient, baking byproduct, used paper towels from cooking prep. All of it goes into the same bag. The volume of kitchen waste per meal cooked from scratch is 3 to 4 times the volume of kitchen waste from a reheated or assembled meal. I had 1 partial box of trash bags when the storm hit. It was gone by day 6. After that, I was doubling up grocery bags and improvising, which created a secondary problem. The improvised bags are smaller and less durable, which means more trips to the bin in conditions that made going outside unpleasant. Buy trash bags in the large box format, 100 count or above. It is the most unglamorous item on this list and the one I have stocked more heavily than almost anything else since those 21 days.
Number 9. Dish soap. The dish soap situation became visible on day 3 and became a genuine operational problem by day 5. Under normal household conditions, a standard 22-ounce bottle of dish soap lasts approximately 3 to 4 weeks. That calculation is based on roughly 1 washing session per day, sometimes 2, with a mix of hand washing and dishwasher use. During the storm, we washed dishes by hand 4 to 6 times per day because every cooking session produced dishes, every baking session produced a bowl and a pan, every hot drink produced a cup, and the dishwasher runs on a fixed cycle that could not keep up with the generation rate. A 22-ounce bottle of dish soap used at that rate lasts approximately 5 to 6 days. I had 1 full bottle and 1 partial. Together they lasted 9 days. After that, I was rationing dish soap in a way that felt absurd until it did not. Using a fraction of what I would normally use per wash, diluting what remained, drying and reusing items faster to reduce the total number of items needing washing. Keep 3 to 4 full bottles stored, rotating oldest into use when you open a new one. A 3-bottle reserve costs approximately $12 to $15 and at full home cooking rates provides approximately 3 weeks of coverage. Under normal use, 3 to 4 months. There is almost no downside to holding that reserve and the upside is disproportionate to the cost.
Number 8. Paper towels. I do not have a precise explanation for how fast paper towels disappear during an extended home cooking period. I only know that a 6-roll pack that I considered a reasonable supply was gone in 4 days, and I could not fully account for where it went. Some of it is cooking prep. Drying surfaces, draining fried food, covering things in the microwave, wiping down counters after each cooking session. Some of it is the general increase in hand drying and surface cleaning that happens when you are home all day and the kitchen is in continuous use. Some of it is the psychological function that paper towels serve when the environment starts to feel closed and difficult to manage. Cleaning a surface with a paper towel and disposing of it creates a small, completed action in a situation where most problems feel unresolvable. That psychological function is real, and I watched it consume more paper towels per day than I would have predicted. Keep a minimum of 12 rolls in the large pack format. At full confinement rates, 12 rolls provides 2 to 3 weeks. At normal household rates, 2 to 3 months. The format that feels excessive on an ordinary Tuesday is the format that feels exactly right on day 4 of a storm.
Number 7. Hand soap. Hand soap is a version of the same multiplier problem as dish soap, with one additional dimension that makes it run out faster than most people model. When you are cooking from scratch multiple times per day, you wash your hands before, during, and after each session. Raw meat, raw eggs, flour, vegetable prep. Each transition requires hand washing. Under a normal partial home cooking schedule, this happens 4 to 6 times per day per person. Under full home cooking conditions with multiple sessions per day, it happens 12 to 16 times per day per household. Sometimes more. I had one full pump dispenser and one partial refill bottle at the start of the storm. Both were gone by day 7. After that, I was using dish soap at the hand sink, which depleted the dish soap reserve faster, which compounded a problem that was already developing. 3 to 4 full refill bottles stored. At full cooking rates, a standard refill bottle lasts approximately 10 to 14 days per household. 3 bottles provides 30 to 40 days of coverage at approximately $8 to $12. The gap when it runs out affects food safety directly, because hand washing during cooking is not a preference. It is a hygiene requirement that does not stop being a requirement because the refill bottle is empty.
Number 6. Salt. Salt is the item on this list that most surprises people when I say how fast it went, because salt feels like something that lasts forever. You have a container on the counter. You use a pinch here, a teaspoon there. It is always there. It has always been there. You have never once thought about tracking it. Here is what changes when you cook every meal from scratch for 21 days. You salt the pasta water, which requires a significant amount. You season every protein before cooking it. You add salt to every vegetable dish, every soup, every sauce. You bake bread and baked goods that contain salt as a structural ingredient, not just a seasoning. The cumulative salt consumption per day under full scratch cooking is genuinely surprising when you add it up. Under partial home cooking, a 26-ounce container of salt lasts 2 to 3 months in most households. Under full scratch cooking conditions across a household of 2 adults, I burned through that same container in 11 days. The salt reserve strategy is the lowest cost and simplest on this entire list. A 5-pound bag of kosher salt costs approximately $5 and lasts several months even under full cooking conditions. 3 5-pound bags, stored in a sealed container to prevent moisture absorption, costs $15 and provides 6 months of coverage for most households. Salt also functions as a preservation agent and an electrolyte source. It is the item with the most distinct categories of value per dollar of any single household consumable. The only question is why most households store less than a month's supply of it. If any of this is landing differently than you expected, a like helps other people find this video. Only if it has earned one.
Number 5. All-purpose flour. Flour is the item that most visibly demonstrates the psychological pattern of home confinement and why that pattern drives consumption in ways people do not anticipate. By day 2 of the storm, both of us had independently reached the same conclusion: baking something was a good idea. Not because we needed baked goods. Because baking produces a result. It involves active engagement. It fills the house with a smell that is not recycled indoor air. It creates a defined task with a beginning, a process, and a visible outcome. We baked bread on day 2. We baked again on day 4. By day 6, baking had become a daily ritual that structured the afternoon in a way nothing else was structuring it. A single loaf of bread consumes 3 to 4 cups of flour. Add cookies, pancakes, flatbreads. The 5-pound bag of all-purpose flour I considered a generous supply was gone by day 8. All-purpose flour in a standard paper bag has a shelf life of approximately 6 to 8 months before the lipid oxidation that begins after milling produces noticeable quality degradation. For a household that will use it regularly, keeping 2 to 3 5-pound bags in rotation is the practical reserve. For a household building longer-term storage, whole wheat berries milled fresh on demand are the format that provides the same coverage with a 25-year storage life. Either approach closes the flour gap. What closes it worst is the single bag most households currently have. Look at the first 5 items. Trash bags, dish soap, paper towels, hand soap, salt, flour. None of them are emergency foods. None of them appear on any preparedness list I have ever read. Every single one of them hit critical levels within the first week of a 3-week confinement that I considered myself reasonably prepared for. The next 5 items are where the consumption multiplier is most acute and where the absence is felt most immediately in the quality of every single day.
Number 4. Sugar. I do not bake regularly under normal conditions. The storm changed that by day 2 as I just described. What I had not fully accounted for was how many separate uses sugar has in a household under full home cooking conditions, beyond baking. Every cup of coffee or tea uses sugar, and we were drinking significantly more of both than usual. Cooking from scratch involves sugar in sauces, marinades, and caramelized dishes. Baking consumes it in volume. Small sweet things during a prolonged confinement serve a real mood function that is harder to quantify but genuinely present. The sugar consumption per household day under confinement conditions is 2 to 3 times the normal rate. A standard 4-pound bag of white sugar was gone by day 6. I had not bought extra because it had never occurred to me to track how fast I used it. Keep a minimum of 10 pounds stored. 2 standard 5-pound bags. At confinement cooking rates, that provides approximately 2 weeks of coverage. At normal household rates, it provides 2 months. The cost is approximately $6 to $8. The sugar also functions as a honey or sweetener alternative in most baking applications, and as a short-term preservation agent for fruits if fresh produce becomes available during an extended disruption.
Number 3. Butter. Butter was the first item on this list to run out, and it ran out faster than any other. By the end of day 3, what I had considered a generous supply was gone, and I was looking at an empty refrigerator shelf trying to reconstruct where it had gone. The answer, when I traced it back, was everywhere. Butter in the pan for every egg. Butter on every piece of toast. Butter in the bread recipe. Butter in the cookies. Butter finishing the pasta dish because it was the easiest way to add richness and fat to a meal that needed both. Butter on the vegetables because everything else was plain, and a tablespoon of butter transforms a plain vegetable in a way that most other additions do not. A standard package of 4 sticks, which I had always considered a 2-week supply, lasted exactly 3.5 days under full home cooking conditions. Under normal conditions, a pound of butter lasts 2 to 3 weeks. Under full home cooking conditions, 3 to 4 days. That multiplier is the gap. The refrigerator limits your butter reserve to 2 to 4 weeks of quality. The correct tool for a real reserve is Guillen's sealed glass jars, which holds quality at room temperature for months without refrigeration, or canned butter which holds 5 to 10 years in cool conditions. Both are the same food without the refrigeration dependency that limits how much reserve you can practically hold.
Number 2. Eggs. I used to buy 1 dozen eggs per week. Under normal conditions, that was more than enough. Some weeks I did not finish the dozen. Eggs felt like a category that was always managed, always fine, never something I needed to think about. By day 3, I was down to 4 eggs. Not because I had eaten eggs for every meal. Because eggs had appeared in almost every meal without me consciously accounting for them. Scrambled eggs for breakfast on day 1. Egg wash on the bread I made on day 2. Eggs as binding in the pasta dough on day 2 evening. The cookie recipe on day 3 called for 2 eggs. By the time I counted what was left, The dozen that had felt like abundance 3 days earlier was nearly gone. This is the egg problem in home confinement. Eggs are not just breakfast. They are the binding agent, the emulsifier, the protein addition, the richness layer in dozens of cooking applications that most people do not consciously register as egg-dependent until they no longer have eggs. 1 dozen eggs lasts 3 to 4 days under full-scratch cooking conditions for 2 people. 2 dozen lasts a week. Past that, the only solutions are powdered eggs, which I discussed in the previous video, or a complete restructuring of the cooking approach that eliminates egg-dependent applications entirely. Neither is as simple as buying 3 dozen eggs before the storm instead of 1. Know your actual egg consumption rate under full home cooking. It is almost certainly higher than you think.
Number 1. Coffee. I want to be precise about why coffee is number 1 on this list, because it is not just about how fast it ran out. It is about what happened when it ran out and what that cost the household in terms of functional capacity. Under normal conditions, I drink 2 cups of coffee per morning. My husband drinks 1. We are out of the house by 8 a.m. and the coffee consumption ends there. During the storm, we were home all day in cold, low light, high-stress conditions. The coffee consumption doubled by day 2 and nearly tripled by day 5. Not as a deliberate decision. As a response to the conditions. Cold weather increases the appeal of hot drinks. The absence of normal routine increases the number of times each day you reach for something that provides a brief reset. Boredom produces coffee consumption in a way that busy productive days at work do not. The bag of coffee I had considered a 10-day supply was gone by day 4. After that, I was rationing in a way that affected the morning specifically. Weaker coffee than normal. Half a cup instead of a full one. And the effect on cognitive function and mood was measurable and real. Not catastrophic. But the household operated at a lower level of patience, focus, and decision quality on the days when the coffee was reduced than on the days when it was not, and those effects compounded. Coffee is 100% imported. Every bag on every shelf crossed an ocean before arriving there. The practical reserve is 3 to 4 months of consumption in whole bean format in sealed airtight containers. Whole beans hold quality for 6 to 9 months. Ground coffee degrades within weeks. A 3-month reserve for a 2-person household costs approximately $40 to $60. The difference that reserve makes on day 5 of a confinement, when everything is already harder than it should be, is not small.
The first list was the items I could not find. This list is the items I had and watched disappear in 3 days, in 4 days, in a week, because I had never tracked my household's actual consumption rate under full home confinement conditions. Neither list is dramatic or expensive to address. The total cost of building a real reserve across both, for a household of 2, is approximately $150 assembled over a month of normal grocery shopping. What that reserve changes is not the fact of a confinement. How difficult it is, and at what point the difficulty starts to compound in ways that affect the people living through it. The items that run out fastest are the ones that feel most like they will always be there. That is the list nobody warns you about. Now you have been warned.
Here is the actionable version of everything on this list. Before your next grocery run, count what you actually have of each of these 10 items. Not what you think you have. Open the cabinet. Look at the bottle. Read the number on the box. Then buy to a 3-week supply of each one at full home cooking consumption rates, not your current partial cooking rate. Done across 2 or 3 normal grocery runs, the entire reserve is built before you ever need it. The households that navigate the next confinement without hitting these walls are not the ones who remembered after it started. They are the ones who counted before it did.
Which one ran out fastest the last time you were home for an extended stretch? Write it in the comments. Not for me. Writing a specific intention down increases the probability of following through on it. That comment is for you. I read every single one. Next video. There is a third layer to this. Not items I could not find, not items I used up too fast, but the decisions I made in the first 48 hours that determined how well the rest of the 21 days went. Most of them cost nothing. Several of them I got wrong. Subscribe if you want to see that list. 1 video a week. No more than that.